Well, she's gone now, but that was Ashley leaving. Okay, anyway. Time to go live, everybody. Because it's such a nice day outside. So we thought we'd just take everybody for a walk through Central Park. What do you say? Isn't that a nice little treat for everybody? Here, I'll even give you the walking view. And we got so much to talk about. It's been a few days since I did a live. Probably like a week or something. Well, I've been going live with the open mic and other gigs, but I haven't been doing the talk pieces as much, so I wanted to get back on and kind of unload all of my opinions that I've been forming for the last week or whatever. So anyway, yeah, it was a big week. We watched all these fucking Adam Sandler movies. I'm going to be talking about Adam Sandler films, and I'm not the good ones, okay? I'm talking the That's My Boys, the Grown Ups 1 and 2s, I rewatched Anger Management and Little Nicky, which I saw in the theater. I mean, I think Adam Sandler was like a cottage industry. He was kind of like our Jerry Lewis in a way. This guy who was sort of this idiot man-child, but was like weirdly respected in the film industry at the same time. So I'm gonna go deep on the Adam Sandler phenomena. We watched this one the week of, directed by Robert Smigel. We watched Reign Over Me. We watched this one with him and David Spade where they're like spies or something. It was sort of like Decker. The Tim Heidecker. This is Hiking with Kevin here. Who out there watches Hiking with Kevin on YouTube? I recommend it. I think it's a great show. It's better than Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, I think. Hiking with Kevin. Simple, effective, nice. Here we are at Augusta, everybody. We're going to talk about the Masters. I know I'm a little bit late on that, but it's, you know, I did watch most of the fucking Masters. I did watch Saturday and Sunday because the Masters website is actually incredible. It's like totally free. You just get on. There's tons of different options for whatever you want. You can watch like the fucking driving range. You can watch Amen Corner. You can watch the leaders. Whatever you're into. The Masters telecast. And so I was kind of getting into... Well, the Masters is all over TikTok. I don't know if people know about this, but the Masters, like... Maybe it's just my TikTok. Because they secretly know that I have, like, this deep golf connection. Which is maybe unexpected, but... the Masters is fucking all over goddamn TikTok. Their account that they run is very professional and like trendy in a weird way for the Masters, which is something that's like hyper protective of their brand. And I would say in a weird way, I think the Masters is like an influence on Easy Paradise. And that, like, I don't know, they're so protective of, like, their brand, and they don't, like, overdo it. You know, like, the Easy Paradise thing, it's once a week. And you know, I don't get around to a lot of other stuff, but it's always on Monday, you know? It's just like the Masters. Well, the Masters, it's like... It's weird, you get older and that tradition kind of comes alive in a weird way because, like, you've lived through it. You know, like now the Tiger Woods thing, which happened when I was 12 years old. Tiger was 21. That's like the shocking thing. Tiger's not even 50. He's only 9 years older than me. That's crazy to think about. I didn't really realize that at the time. You know, as you're a little kid, you think, oh, I could do that, or I'm gonna do that, or, you know, I could be Tiger Woods. Easy. And then you get older and you're like, Jesus Christ, he beat everybody by 12 shots. and it was like the first major he'd ever played in as a professional, and he was only 21 and blah, blah, blah. And like, you knew it was a significant moment, definitely. You knew it was like this huge thing, but now being older, it's like, you've seen the return to glory. You've seen him kind of fall apart with the sex addiction thing and his cheating scandal, and his life kind of just like implode in this crazy way. And you've seen these generations, people like Rory, who have sort of risen up in the interim. It's just, you know, that's the thing about life that I guess kind of blows me away. And living in New York, you see this, but I guess you probably see it everywhere. It's just like the exploding of new generations. Every couple years, you know, there's just a whole new crop of like prospects, rookies. The fashion is new, the way they dress is new. You know, Tiger was like riding that wave of his generation. Like I said, he won the Masters when he was 21. But then all this, you know, around 2005, all these guys started to show up that were influenced by him. And like Rory McIlroy, right? Like grew up watching fucking Tiger Woods. So he's sort of like one or two steps past. Like Tiger's probably Gen X maybe. Whereas Rory's a millennial, I guess. Let's see if I can get some good ass background. It's just too blown out there. Too cooked in the background. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the Masters. As an extension of my talk piece, which I did last Thursday, I did 35 minutes at Pete's Candy Store. People can check that out on my YouTube page. It was live. I did go live. So it was like a live stream. It was sort of an experiment. So I'll talk about that a little bit, my live talk piece. I mean, I started probably at like 11:15, and I think I went to what, 11:50, I guess. I asked toward the end. I asked the sound guy, do I have like 10, 15 minutes? He's like, you got 5 minutes. So I did 5 more minutes, and I think it went. I mean, it wasn't like well attended, but there was a handful of influential thinkers there and people who I respect. So, that means a lot to me. And it was an experiment. This is something I've wanted to do for 10 years. And I think sort of, I guess, my unconscious inspiration for doing this is I watched this John Mulaney fucking monologue about Ray Lewis. You got to win your crowd. And it was okay. But as I'm watching, I realized it finally clicked for me. Like, oh my God, like, John Mulaney is doing Spalding Gray, like 100%. It's just he sort of does it with these kind of stand-up comedy kind of inflections, and he kind of molds it into like. But it's like if you realize that that's kind of his influence, then you go, oh my God, because it's this story about he's working on some fucking commercial for Madden or whatever, and he meets Ray Lewis. And Ray Lewis gives him this, like, life advice. He's trying to seem cool because he knows Ray Lewis. But, I guess in a certain way, that's where it, like, clicked for me. Like, oh, wait a minute. Like, that's how I can sort of, like, frame this on stage. It's just, like, it's sort of like some kind of, you know, not that I wanted it to be storytelling. Like, I really just wanted it to be, like, a live version of this. But kind of like expand it into a physicality and like, you know, a lot of that lexicon kind of comes from stand-up comedy. It's just like the way they move on stage, the way, you know, like I don't want my things to be overly funny per se, but like I do want that to be like part of it. I just want it to be interesting. And I want it to be like writing on stage. That's the idea. It's like stand-up poetry. But it's like, it's almost like you're writing a memoir on stage, or you're writing some kind of short story about, you know, like, so the focus of this, because it was Masters Week, and I was watching all these fucking TikToks of the Masters. I was like, okay, well, I'll talk about golf. Because, I mean, goddamn, like, the secret kind of under theme, right, is Trump. Because Trump's obsessed with golf. It's the only fucking thing he cares about. And he's buddies with Tiger and Jack Nicklaus. And they, you know, this LIV tour, this Saudi golf tour, plays on his courses. Plays on Trump National, Doral, Trump National, all of his fucking clubs. Bedminster, right? So he's enabling. Rory is very anti-LIV tour, right? Because he's Irish. His mother is a barmaid, and his dad was the manager. He's a product of love, is what I'm saying. And employee-manager relations in a bar, right? It's a tale as old as time. You know, he's a product of spirits and bad decisions. And look at him, he's a miracle, right? I mean, that Sunday was all over the place, right? Some of those shots he hit were unbelievable. But his playing was very Irish. It was very like manic depressive up and down, making horrific mistakes, but then making these kind of miraculous, drunken comeback shots with all this grace and shit. It was very Irish. Very like bipolar. And he made us proud, you know, as Irish. That's what I'm choosing to identify as these days, Irish. Because they're like Palestinians, basically. You know, the reason why Rory was so anti the fucking LIV thing, I'm sure deep down, is because he understands as an Irish person, Northern Irish, right? His family was involved in the Troubles and shit in some way. He doesn't really talk about it. He doesn't really, you know, he doesn't seem to want to know that much about it or anything. But, you know, you can tell probably where his heart is and that it matters to him, right? And the Irish, you know, they understand they're one of the countries that's in solidarity with the Palestinians in a big way because they understand what the fuck it's like to be imperialized and colonized and taken over by, you know, white people or colonialists or whatever the hell, you know, outsiders, British people, and potato famine and all that. You know, they stole all their goddamn food. The British people just used the Irish resources and starved the people who lived there by just stealing everything they had. And so that's why these Irish people came to America, right? To get away from that. They're refugees. They're political refugees, right? And so the Rory thing, it felt like this kind of optimistic victory for the underdog or oppressed peoples, for the Palestinians. The Rory Masters victory, that was a victory for Hamas. JK. We're just kidding, okay, here. This is the political golf. Well, so that was part of the theme of my piece, was all golf is political. And here, let me give you a little of the beautiful ambiance here. In Central Park. It's this wonderful spring day in New York. It's 60 degrees. We're watching Adam Sandler films. We're talking Adam Sandler. Casablanca. I wanted to talk about Casablanca as well. We watched Casablanca this weekend. There's a lot to say there. You know, it's another thing that's kind of resonates with this moment that we're in a big way. And so, yeah, I wanted to talk about golf as a site of political struggle, political class warfare, you know, emotional warfare, and just the culture of golf and MAGA and Adam Sandler movies as sort of like this weird shadow kind of Republican fucking influence. I mean, Adam Sandler, Giuliani's in anger management. I guess that was not, it was made right after 9/11, right? So that was not uncommon, but You Don't Mess with the Zohan is super, like, probably the most pro-Israeli. I've heard that Sandler's MAGA, which I don't really know about that, but we were just looking at this comment board because everything is, that's where the real voice of the people is, in the comments. If you can get past all the bots and the fucking fake news bullshit, all the fake comments. And somebody was talking about how men used to dress. Oh, it was about, because I was looking at George Clooney on 60 Minutes. I just wanted to see what people were saying about George Clooney's hair. Because he dyed his hair black for this play, and he just looks terrible. He looks like Eddie Munster, but old. He looks like fucking Bela Lugosi almost. And it's just not a good look for him. Somehow he looks younger with the gray hair. And so I just wanted to see what people were saying about George Clooney's hair. And in the comments, somebody was like, men in this country used to dress like Edward R. Murrow. They would dress dignified. They wore suits. They were well-spoken. They cared. Like men in this country used to have like grace and dignity and honor and this and that. And what the fuck happened? Now every guy wears like dirty hoodie and fucking, pajama pants, and they dress like slobs and they chew tobacco and this and that. I'm like, you know what happened? Adam Sandler fucking happened. Adam Sandler is allergic to fucking formal wear. And I am telling it now because I lived through it. I saw it fucking happen. I remember when Big Daddy came out. I think I was maybe a freshman in high school. I was either in 8th or 9th grade. And it was this huge box office fucking smash where it was like, it broke records for like the biggest opening weekend in June. It was a summer blockbuster, Big Daddy. It made like $58 million its first weekend. And I said, this is bad. This is like man-child. Everybody in my generation listened to the goddamn Adam Sandler albums. Willie the Toll Booth and all that. The Goat skit. And all of the comedy that came after him, like Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill and Superbad and all of that shit, was sort of like, it was okay to dress like a slob and act like an idiot because of Adam Sandler. He was so popular amongst millennial, I guess is what you'd say, boys. When we were teenagers, right, that was like the most valuable demographic, was like 13 to 24-year-old boys, South Park, Comedy Central, all this kind of immature man-child comedy shit. It was like big business. And Adam Sandler movies get horrible reviews. I mean, his Rotten Tomatoes scores are like probably as bad as anybody's, to be honest. Like a lot of his shit has got like 10% or less. And to be honest, his movies are not that bad. They're kind of a genre unto themselves. They have a lot of heart. They're a little schmaltzy, but like they have a colorful kind of like fictional world that they create he's really good with side characters because I think he loves his friends so much and he wants his former SNL pals like Lovitz and Chris Rock and David Spade and Rob Schneider. I mean, where would Rob Schneider be? The half Filipino, half Jewish MAGA. Everything Rob Schneider does in an Adam Sandler movie is racist. He's always in some kind of like ethnic blackface, basically. He's like an Arab character, or he's like a landlord that's like sort of vaguely Middle Eastern. You can do it! Or that guy. I think that guy is like the epitome of Adam Sandler movies. That character, that Rob Schneider, you can do it! That character seems like he comes out of like a Preston Sturges film. Like, I know that sounds insane, but I think Adam Sandler is like the white trash Preston Sturges or something. He's just a guy from like dirtbag New Hampshire, small town, And he made it big. And I think you see that in his movies. I've heard Adam Sandler's the nicest guy in Hollywood. I've heard multiple people say that. Like Adam Sandler is like the best person in Hollywood. Which, you know, it's ironic that a lot of the MAGA people are like personally very, like, right? That was Bill Maher's whole thing about Trump. Was that Trump was actually like a really nice guy and, you know, almost like warm or something. You know, it's sort of counterintuitive, but because they're so cruel politically. But, you know, I think by employing Rob Schneider, Adam Sandler is like doing the right thing and like showing that he's a good guy. And all those people in his movies, you know, he's really good about getting these Dana Carvey's in anger management and shit. Somebody tuned out when I said Adam Sandler is like Preston Sturges. But the way, you know, Buscemi's in tons of Adam Sandler movies. The anger management has got a lot of PTA actors. And I remarked on that because that was right around when Punch Drunk Love came out. I mean, Heather Graham's in it, John C. Reilly, Turturro's in it. I know he's not a PTA guy, but, you know, anger management cast is like almost as stacked as fucking Boogie Nights. You know, Nicholson's in it, for Christ's sake. You know, fucking P.T. Anderson never had Nicholson in a goddamn movie. Adam Sandler did. And I gotta say, Reign Over Me was a pretty good movie, actually. The guy who directed it kind of knew what he was doing. Oh, shit. And, someone just fell over. Reign Over Me, the character's like riding around on a scooter all over New York trying to escape his PTSD from his wife and kids who died in 9/11. And I'm like, that's what I did after the pandemic. I rode around New York on a scooter. Does that mean I've got some kind of weird PTSD like Adam Sandler and that Bob Dylan mid-80s Empire Burlesque-esque wig? I need to find a place to sit for a second so I can rant about Adam Sandler films. I mean, I'm going to probably talk for 2 hours about Adam Sandler films, okay? So just be forewarned. And Casablanca and The Masters. So I know you're stoked about that. What else happened this weekend? I feel like something happened. Some kind of performance or something. I mean, I was pretty happy with how the talk piece went. You know, I would have liked to have done, like Ben Callahan, shout out Ben Callahan, showed up with about 5 minutes left to go. So he kind of missed. But I was only beginning to establish my themes, you know. And then all the stories about, well, because I had this kind of idea during Masters Week. I was like, I had this idea for a play. And I was going to call it Golf Team Van. And it was basically just going to be like a one-act play about the golf team van in high school. And just like, you know, sort of the political underpinnings and the emotional violence and the class structure. Am I back on? Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Kick back in. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay, they're all gone. Okay. So anyway, this prick from, we were on, I think it was Timberview. The golf course, I think, was Timberview, which was in Marysville. And you had to drive in the golf team van. You know, that's why the golf team van was so important, because it was always, you're driving 45 minutes to these fucking courses, because they're all in the country. You know, we were a small school. We had 400 kids in our school, so we played all these small schools, so they were all in the country. So we were always driving an hour to get to the fucking match and back. So we're at Timberview in Marysville playing a bunch of hillbillies. They're probably MAGA Christian psychos now. And we're at Timberview, and this kid called a penalty on me because I, like, didn't drop my ball properly or some shit. Some prick fucking... It's like, dude, give me a break. I'm fucking 15 years old. Like, I don't want to be here. I've never kissed a girl. Just let me go home and play Super Mario 64, for Christ's sakes. I have a WCW NWO revenge addiction that I have to be servicing. I need to be home playing WWF No Mercy at least 8 hours a day, or I'm gonna fucking go into anaphylactic withdrawal. So anyway, this kid just like kept calling these penalties on me and all this shit, and so I think I just started hitting my ball like in the water. I was like, I'm going to disqualify myself, because I was being passive aggressive, I guess, or doing what I always do, is just like swallowing the pain and the hostility and internalizing it rather than like fighting back. And so this kid, I got rid of all my golf balls by hitting them into the water, and I DQ'd myself. Because I just couldn't deal with this kid. And, you know, that was about par for the course for me in high school golf. I was not